I'm Corbett Wall with USDA Livestock and Grain Market News, here with your weekly feeder and stocker cattle market summary for the week ending June the 1st. We're on light holiday receipts due to the Memorial Day holiday. We had calves selling unevenly steady and yearlings from steady to $4 higher. Now most all your big Monday auctions were closed due to Memorial Day, and then it was just kind of slow getting things going on from there. A lot of your northern markets that aren't having sales every week did not have a sale at all this week. Your direct trade was also slow because the board was closed on Monday and then come out Tuesday and Wednesday lower, which made it hard for those country buyers to get anything done. Now, the board moved a week ago this Friday from May to August on your feeder cattle futures. And as it did that, it kind of changed, made a big gap and changed what we were used to there. And it left about a $6 gap in your cash feeder cattle index all the way up to where your closest board, which is your August feeder futures, is trading there. Now that index can make up ground really, really fast, especially this time of year when your sales volume is very light. And when you do get some yearlings, you tend to get loads of those yearlings, and they tend to be highly demanded and sell at a nice price. And so very quickly, especially when you have some special sales, that can get moved up a whole lot. I've had guys calling me, says, my gosh, how does that feeder cattle index shoot up $3 in one day? Well, it does that late in the week on a Friday when you turn in all this direct trade that market news collects on Friday, and those current sales also go into that feeder cattle index. And so the direct trade has been where most of your action's been the last several weeks here, and is really the only thing that has shown the support that bullish cattle on feed report should have made the whole cattle industry do. We haven't seen hardly any support from the board, haven't seen any support in the board on the out months on the live cattle board. Certainly haven't seen any push in the fat cattle market since that bullish cattle on feed report has come out. But you have seen a lot of higher prices on the direct trade. Kansas was 3 to 5 higher last week, and then firm to 4 higher this week. That's on a direct trade basis. Those are load lots of cattle contracted out of the country. So it doesn't take long for that to catch up, and we look for that to happen a lot here in the next few weeks as we get close to something that we can trade on the futures market. But also that cattle on feed report, the one thing that did kind of make a weigh on the market a little bit was it showed that it had a lot of cattle that had been on feed for a while, over getting into the over 100 days, and those cattle are expected to kind of make a lot of market ready cattle the first part of the summer here over the next couple of months. We have yet to see any feedlots that really say they're backlogged. It may not be as green as they have been, but for the last year we've been so green selling fat cattle that we haven't really been current in a long, long time. So we'll see if that weighs on this fat cattle market. This week fat's traded from 121 to 122. Which was about steady, but the board's lagging so far behind. A lot of those guys stuck around $4 in their pocket on the basis. Dress sales were $1 higher at mostly $195. But your pastures are starting to get pretty dry in your major grazing areas. The Osage, the Flint Hills, they've got pond water there. They're not really hurting, but the grass does not have that real green tint to it that you would like to see this time of year, this early in the season. Indeed, if it doesn't rain, some of those cattle might have to be pulled off a little early because they won't let them grub those pastures all the way out. But if we get some little timely rains, it might be just right. The good thing is when those pastures are a little bit on the dry side, the cattle actually do better than they do when it's really lush and green and that grass gets kind of washy and doesn't really stay with them like you'd like for it to. But you got heavy carcasses coming in. Guys, it's hard to buy any feeder cattle, so the ones that they've got, try to put a little more weight on them. We've had outstanding feedlot performance for a long time now. A lot of these feedlots are using the feed additives, Zilmax and such, late in the feeding period, which is really increasing the performance on those cattle. It's allowing them to gain weight efficiently where they normally don't at the end of the feeding period. It's increasing the dressing percentage by leaps and bounds, which is really helping those guys out. It's making heavier carcasses, on the average 15 to 18 pounds heavier so far for the year. And our production so far this year of beef production is down 3%, which we would expect. But if carcass weights had been the same as last year, it'd be down way over 5%. So we're making up a lot of ground, having light numbers, not very many cattle, by making those cattle heavier. Maryville, Missouri, just up the road here from St. Joe, but in extreme northwestern Missouri, and sure close enough for those Iowa and Nebraska buyers to slip down and buy some cattle. Had an outstanding sale this week. Had a load of steers weighed 915 at 150 and a quarter. Another load weighed 950 at 146 and a quarter. And another load weighed 1040 at 137. On a fat markets, that's 121, 122, and they're expecting it to maybe go down a little bit in the near future. Valentine, Nebraska, they had a replacement female sale up there, selling black-hided pairs from $21.75 to $28.60. So people still wanting cattle. Regional weighted averages this week: up in the north central states, an 800 to 900 pound steer on the average will cost you $151.41 compared to $149.77 last week and $119.28 a year ago. Down in the south central states, a 700 to 800 pound steer cost you $153.63 compared to $152 and a quarter last week and $122.94 a year ago. And down in the southeast, a 500 to 600 pound calf cost you $167.53 compared to $167.23 last week and $126.52 a year ago. That's all your feeder stocker cattle summary for this week. Check out our website. We got new dashboards on there for beef and cattle that are interactive. Check those out at marketnews.usda.gov. From the Regional Market News Office in St. Joe, Missouri, we'll talk to you next week.